God is just so amazing. We live in such an incredible kingdom that no matter what you're going through, no matter what's happening in your life, there is always an opportunity to just be filled up and pouring out. You don't have to put up your hands. I don't know if you've had a hard week or a hard life. But I often, and this week's been that for me. It's been a stressful week, I'll be honest with you as a pastor. It's been one of those weeks where I have to remember who I am. Even pastors have to do that. It's crazy. And I'm always reminded of that story of Jesus with the woman at the well. And I can identify with her. This isn't even what I'm preaching on, but this is a freebie. Do you know that that woman at the well, she was a Samaritan? Did you know the Samaritans believed they were better than the Jewish people? The Samaritans were descendants of Joseph, so they were half Egyptian, half Jewish. And when she says to Jesus, when he goes, "Can you get me a drink?" She's like, and she's like, "Well, no, I can't." And he's like, "Well, if you had what I had, I'd give you a drink." She's like, "You don't even have a bucket." Do you know she wasn't saying that gently? Like everyone has this narrative, like she's just this woman. She was like, "You don't even have a bucket. Get out of here." And then she says to him this, "Your ancestors say we have to worship in Jerusalem, but we worship on this mountain." Basically, you're wrong, Jesus. We worship on this mountain. We have every right to be with God, is what she's saying to Jesus. She doesn't know who it is. And what does he say to her? "If you knew who I was, you'd ask me, and I would give you living water." "Where do you get this water?" she says. "Where do you get this water?" And he begins to unpack her life for her to the point where she believes he is who he says she is. And sometimes I feel like I'm that woman. That's weird to say. I just feel like Jesus is standing in front of me saying, "If you knew who I was." I want you to remember this when you have a hard day. Jesus stands before you and he says, "If you knew who I was, you'd let me fill you up. You'd let me overflow in your heart with springs of living water." How many need that? Just put your hand on your belly right now. Living water, God, we ask for living water to spring up in us. We just say we know who it is standing before us. We're not going to try to tell you who you are, God. We're not going to try to tell you who you are, Jesus. We will just be filled up with your presence and your glory and your goodness. So I pray it will bubble up out of you now in Jesus' name. Amen.